Dear students, our today's topic is nervous regulation of respiration. The nervous system normally adjusts the rate of alveolar ventilation almost exactly to the demands of body. So partial pressure of oxygen and partial pressure of carbon dioxide is hardly altered even during heavy exercise and in most of other types of respiratory stress. Nervous regulation of respiration is done by two systems. One is automatic control system, which is involuntary in nature. It is located in the medulla and pons of the brainstem. And second is voluntary control system, located in cerebral cortex. It is mainly done by our pyramidal tracts. So we have voluntary control over our respiratory muscles. Now what is respiratory center? It is composed of several groups of neurons located bilaterally in medulla oblongata and pons of brainstem. There are four groups of neurons: dorsal respiratory group, ventral respiratory group, pneumotaxic center, and apneustic center. These are the brief functions of all the four groups. Dorsal respiratory group is concerned with quiet inspiration, means inspiration in resting condition. Ventral respiratory group is concerned with forceful inspiration and expiration, mainly during exercise. Pneumotaxic center influences inspiration to shut off, and apneustic center prolongs inspiration. Exact locations of this center and details of their functions we will discuss one by one. See the diagram showing locations of all the four centers. This is a cut section of brainstem showing midbrain, pons and medulla. See in the pons, in the upper part there is pneumotaxic center and in the lower part there is apneustic center. Pneumotoxic center is inhibiting the apneustic center. Then further down the apneustic center in the medulla there are dorsal respiratory group and ventral respiratory group based on their location. You can also see the vagus nerve and the glossopharyngeal nerves are supplying efferent signals to dorsal respiratory group. Now let us start with dorsal respiratory group. It controls inspiration and respiratory rhythm. Its neurons are located within nucleus tractus solitarius. It is the sensory termination of both vagus nerve and glossopharyngeal nerves. It contains inspiratory cells called eye neurons, which causes rhythmical inspiratory discharge. Now, what is inspiratory ramp signal? Nervous signals transmitted from dorsal respiratory neurons to the inspiratory muscles, mainly diaphragm and external intercostal muscles. It begins weakly and increases steadily in a ramp manner for 2 seconds. Then it stops for next 3 seconds. So there is an advantage. There is steady increase in the volume of lungs during inspiration and then it is followed by passive expiration. So due to this ramp signal, we have smooth and gradual increase in inspiratory volume which will continue for 2 seconds. Then after 2 seconds this ramp signal will stop suddenly. So we have a time of 3 seconds during which we will have our passive expiration due to elastic recoil. Now our second group is ventral respiratory group. It is located about 5 mm anterior and lateral to dorsal respiratory group in nucleus ambiguous rostrally and nucleus retroambiguous caudally. We all know nucleus ambiguous is actually vagal nerve nucleus. Now this group will function during both inspiration as well as expiration. However, it is totally inactive during normal quiet breathing. So it will come into action only during forceful breathing. It provides powerful expiratory signals to abdominal muscles when high level of pulmonary ventilation is required, especially during heavy exercise. Now see this chart of quiet respiration. So during normal resting condition, the respiration consists of about 2 seconds of inspiration and 3 seconds of expiration. Only the dorsal respiratory group will come into action. So when dorsal respiratory group is active, inspiratory muscles contract and inspiration occurs. After which the dorsal respiratory group is inhibited, so inspiratory muscles will relax, and due to elastic recoil there will be passive expiration for 3 seconds. So this is about quiet or normal resting respiration. Now the story will be different during forceful respiration. During forceful respiration, both the centers, dorsal as well as ventral, will come into action. So let us start. The dorsal respiratory group and inspiratory center of the ventral respiratory group will become active. At the same time, expiratory center of the ventral respiratory group is inhibited. So inspiratory muscles will contract, expiratory muscles will relax. As a result, inspiration occurs. After which, opposite things happen. Dorsal respiratory groups and inspiratory center of the ventral respiratory group are inhibited, and at the same time, expiratory center of the ventral respiratory group is activated. As a result, inspiratory muscles relax and expiratory muscles contract. So here the expiration is active and not passive. So this is the story of forceful respiration. Now our third center, pneumotaxic center. It is located dorsally in nucleus parabrachialis and collicular fused nucleus of upper pons. It inhibits the apneustic center. It controls the switch off point of inspiratory ramp, and thus it controls the duration of filling phase of lung cycle. As a result, when pneumotaxic center is activated, breathing will become rapid and shallow. There will be increase in rate of respiration and there will be decrease in depth of respiration. Then comes the fourth center, apneustic center. It is located bilaterally in the lower part of the pons. It prevents switch off of the inspiratory ramp signals. It is doing opposite action of pneumotaxic center. So it increases the tidal volume as well as duration of inspiration, resulting in deeper and prolonged inspiratory effort. It is called apneusis. Normally this center is inhibited by pneumotaxic center and by vagus nerve. Now there is an area called pre-Botzinger complex. It is known as pacemakers of respiration. Exact details of this area is still not known. It is located in medulla oblongata, somewhere between nucleus ambiguous and lateral reticular nucleus, and they cause rhythmic discharge of phrenic motor neurons. Phrenic nerve is a motor nerve to our diaphragm muscle, and diaphragm is the main inspiratory muscle. Vagus nerves are playing an important role in neural control of respiration. Vagus nerves carries efferent fibers from airways and lung parenchyma. It inhibits medullary inspiratory neurons. Like pneumotaxic center, it also inhibits apneustic center. So during vagotomy, due to removal of the vagal supply, there will be deep and slow breathing. When vagotomy is also associated with lesions of the pneumotaxic center, then it will result in apneusis. Apneusis means prolonged inspiratory spasm. It is due to uninhibited apneustic center in the lower part of the pons. Reticular activating system, which is located in brainstem, also plays a role. It stimulates the respiratory center to increase the respiratory drive. During sleep, reticular activating system's activity will decrease, so there will be decrease in the respiratory drive. So there is decrease in the alveolar ventilation during sleep, which is totally physiological. Now let us discuss a very important reflex, Herring-Brewer inflation reflex. Stretch receptors are located in the walls of the bronchi and bronchioles throughout the lungs. They transmit the signal through vagus into dorsal respiratory group of neurons when lungs become overstretched. It switches off the REM signals and stops further inspiration. Thus, it also increases the rate of respiration. Generally not activated until the tidal volume increases to more than 3 times normal. Our normal tidal volume is 500 ml. So Herring-Brewer inflation reflex will be activated when our tidal volume increases more than 1.5 liters. Neural control of respiration is a complex process. You can see efferent impulses are carried to the respiratory centers from many areas. Let us discuss one by one. First is the voluntary control system. So from the cerebral cortex, origin of the pyramidal tract, when the signals are transmitted to the respective muscles, signals are also given to the respiratory center. So when we are about to start any exercise, our respiratory center will also increase the respiratory drive, which will help during exercise. Second is limbic control system. Limbic system is concerned with our emotions. So whenever any emotional manifestations, our respiratory drive is also influenced accordingly. Third is pulmonary stretch receptors. We have already discussed the Herring-Brewer reflex. Fourth is J receptors. These receptors were devised by a scientist A.S. Paintel. They are called J receptors because they are located in juxtaposition to pulmonary capillaries. In normal breathing, they have no role. They are activated whenever there is congestion, there is collection of the fluid, there is pulmonary edema. Whenever the J receptors are activated, they will do apnea, bradycardia, and hypotension. So, due to apnea and bradycardia and hypotension, there will be discouragement of exercise. So, person will stop doing any heavy exercise, and it will be a life saving because in pulmonary edema, exercise will play a danger role. Then next is irritant receptors in the respiratory tract. Here there are two important reflexes, coughing and sneezing. Both are protective reflex. So whenever any foreign body enters into nasal mucosa, sneezing occurs, and when it enters into respiratory passages, coughing occurs. In both the cases, there will be forceful expulsion of the air outside respiratory tree. It will help in removing the foreign material. So these irritant receptors are sending signals to our respiratory center. Next is chemoreceptors. We will discuss the details of chemoreceptors and their role in lecture of chemical regulation of respiration. Then next is proprioceptors. They are the receptors located in muscles and joints. So whenever we are doing any physical activity, these proprioceptors will send the information to our respiratory center, and then our respiratory center will do the changes according to demand. Next is baroreceptors. Baroreceptors' main function is regulation of blood pressure, but they will also send the signal to our respiratory center. So as and when respiratory drive increase or decrease is required, we can do it. There is a term adrenaline apnea. So when adrenaline is given in high doses by effect of baroreceptors, there will be cessation of breathing called apnea. So there is a role of baroreceptors. The last is thermoreceptors. They are the receptors concerned with temperature sensing. So whenever there is change in the temperature, thermoreceptors will send the signals to our respiratory center. So we may change our respiratory drive accordingly. This is especially important in animals like dogs. So they do panting in high temperature, and there will be increase in their respiratory drive during high temperature. Whatever we have discussed just now is shown in this diagram. See the respiratory central in the middle of the diagram. Now see, many areas are sending the efferent signals to our respiratory center, starting with the cerebral cortex, voluntary control over our breathing. Then stretch receptors from the lungs, irritant receptors from the lungs, proprioceptors from the muscles and joints, chemoreceptors, central as well as peripheral, and signals from our limbic system related to emotions. So our respiratory center is receiving the signals from all these areas, and then it will do necessary action. So this was all about neural regulation of respiration. Now the applied aspect of neural regulation of respiration I will discuss in applied aspect of respiratory physiology afterwards. Thank you.